The phone call was recorded at 11:47 p.m., and what Jennifer Gledhill said next would seal her fate forever.
On September 28th, Jennifer Gledhill called police to report her husband, Matthew Johnson, missing.
The disappearance of Matthew Johnson, a Utah father and husband, and the arrest of his wealthy wife, Jennifer Gledhill, for first-degree murder.
Jen in our home before and, breaking bread with them. And then it turned out that she's responsible for his death. It was shocking, frankly.
On September 28th, 2024, Jennifer Gledhill called the police in Cottonwood Heights, Utah, to report her husband, Matthew Johnson, missing. She sounded worried, emotional, and convincing. To anyone listening, she was a concerned wife whose husband had vanished without a trace. But what no one knew yet was that the story Jennifer was telling would soon fall apart, piece by piece. Behind her calm voice and her tears, there was something dark. Something that had been building for months. What began as a marriage built on love and stability was now about to unravel into one of Utah's most shocking murder cases. Jennifer and Matthew seemed like the perfect couple. They lived in a beautiful $1 million home in Cottonwood Heights, surrounded by their 3 children, ages 11, 7, and 5. To their neighbors, they looked like a picture of success and happiness. Matthew Johnson was 51 years old. He was a decorated member of the Utah National Guard's 19th Special Forces Group, a Green Beret who had served his country for more than a decade. Those who worked with him described him as smart, disciplined, and dependable. He was a man who took care of others before himself, a husband and father who was respected by everyone around him. Jennifer, at 42, was known as a devoted mother and a supportive military wife. To friends, she seemed gentle and quiet, someone who spent most of her time caring for the kids and maintaining their home. They looked like a stable couple living the American dream, but appearances can be deceiving. Behind the walls of their luxury home, things were falling apart. By the summer of 2024, cracks in the marriage were growing deeper. Jennifer and Matthew had started talking about divorce. Arguments were becoming more frequent, and both were accused of emotional outbursts and manipulation. In August, Jennifer filed for a temporary protective order against Matthew, claiming she feared for her safety. When the case went before the court, a 3rd District Commissioner, Russell Minus, reviewed the evidence, and what he found was not what Jennifer had hoped for. The court determined that the videos and messages she provided didn't show fear or abuse. In fact, they revealed Jennifer as confrontational and verbally aggressive. Her texts to Matthew were described as berating, belittling, and provoking. The judge concluded that no abuse had occurred and dismissed the order. In his written statement, the commissioner noted that their relationship had become highly dysfunctional, adding that divorce proceedings should have started long ago. It was a simple decision for the court, but it would have deadly consequences. Because after that ruling, Jennifer made a decision that would change everything. As weeks passed, Matthew started noticing more changes in Jennifer. She was distant, angry, and unpredictable. His friends said he began to worry for his safety. He often slept at the National Guard base instead of home, telling people that things were tense with Jennifer. He confided in his friend Kevin Thompson, another National Guardsman, saying he was ready to file for divorce and move on. But he never got that chance. What Matthew didn't realize was that Jennifer was hiding a secret. She had been having an affair with another man. It wasn't a brief romance. It was an obsession. Her messages and calls to this man revealed a woman caught up in a fantasy, completely consumed by him. 2 days before the murder, on September 19th, Jennifer showed her lover a loaded Glock 19X pistol. It was the same weapon that Matthew owned. Her lover thought nothing of it at the time, assuming it was normal for a military family to have firearms in the house. But that moment would later become a key piece of evidence. Behind her calm appearance, Jennifer was planning something far more sinister. September 20th, 2024 started like any other day in the Johnson household, but by nightfall, the calm was gone. Matthew had discovered the truth about Jennifer's affair, and an explosive argument broke out. According to Jennifer's later confession, Matthew confronted her in anger, demanding answers. Years of resentment and betrayal came pouring out in a heated fight. But when Matthew went to bed that night, no one could have imagined what would happen next. In the early hours of September 21st, while Matthew slept, Jennifer picked up his own 9mm handgun. She stood over him for a moment, then pulled the trigger. The shot struck him in the head. Matthew Johnson, a decorated soldier and devoted father, was dead before sunrise. Jennifer didn't call for help. She didn't cry. Instead, she went into cover-up mode. She placed Matthew's body into a large storage container from their rooftop, dragged it down the stairs, and loaded it into the family's minivan. She drove away into the night, heading north toward Davis County. Somewhere along the way, she buried his body in a shallow grave. When she returned home, she cleaned everything. She bleached the walls, scrubbed the floors, and replaced the blood-soaked mattress with a brand new one she ordered just days later. She thought she had erased every trace of what she had done, but one mistake would expose her completely. On the night of September 22nd, Jennifer went to see her lover again. She arrived late, looking tired and bruised. During their conversation, she told him everything. She described how she had shot Matthew while he slept, how she had hidden his body, and how she had cleaned up the mess. When he noticed the bruises on her arms, she said she had gotten them while burying her husband. Her lover was horrified. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. This was a woman he thought he knew, now admitting to a cold-blooded killing as if it were nothing. In the following days, he decided to record their conversations. He wanted proof of what she said. During one of their calls, she spoke in a chilling, detached tone. "Wow," she said, "if you think I could even hurt a fly?" He wasn't a person anymore. He wasn't Matt. Jennifer went on to talk about how she saw herself as the Queen of Hearts from her past lives, saying she believed in cutting down those who didn't deserve to live. "Off with their heads," she said, laughing softly. The conversation was disturbing, but it also revealed something crucial. It took place before Matthew was officially reported missing. Jennifer was speaking as if her husband no longer existed, even though, to the world, he was just missing. 6 days after her confession, Jennifer called the police and reported Matthew missing. She claimed he had told her he was leaving for a week and didn't want to be contacted. At the same time, Matthew's National Guard unit began their own search after he failed to report for duty. Something was clearly wrong. Unbeknownst to Jennifer, her lover had already gone to the police. He handed over recordings, screenshots, and text messages, all evidence that would lead investigators directly to her. On September 28th, detectives executed a search warrant at the Johnson home. Inside, they discovered bloodstains under the bed, traces of bleach throughout the master bedroom, and reddish-brown spots on the walls. They also found a brand new mattress that had been delivered just days after Matthew's disappearance. The evidence matched everything Jennifer had confessed to in her recorded conversations. It was no longer a missing persons case. It was murder. On October 2nd, 2024, police arrested Jennifer Gledhill. She was charged with first-degree murder and multiple counts of obstruction of justice. But the investigation didn't end there. 3 weeks later, her parents, Thomas and Rosalie Gledhill, were also arrested. Investigators discovered that they had visited Jennifer's house during the days following the murder. They claimed they had only stopped by briefly, but phone data and surveillance told a different story. They had spent several hours there, long enough to help with cleanup. Police also found that Rosalie had purchased the new mattress that replaced the original one and had reset her phone to erase location data. When investigators searched the parents' home, they found a Glock 19X gun box hidden inside a plastic container near Jennifer's bedroom. It was the same model Jennifer had shown her lover before the killing. The evidence was overwhelming. Months passed after the arrests, but Matthew Johnson's body was still missing. Search teams combed through vast areas of northern Utah, from Davis County to the Utah-Idaho border. More than 70 people joined the search, including law enforcement, volunteers, and Matthew's fellow soldiers. One of his closest friends, John Hash, who had served with him for over a decade, said he couldn't believe what had happened. "We had Jen in our home before," he said. "To know that she was responsible for his death, it's shocking." During the ongoing investigation, authorities discovered a vehicle storage container floating in water that contained Matthew's blood. It confirmed part of Jennifer's confession, but the location of his remains remains unknown. For his friends and family, the unanswered question of where Matthew was buried became unbearable. Every search that came up empty left them more frustrated and heartbroken. Jennifer pleaded not guilty to all charges. Prosecutors described her as manipulative, calculating, and dangerous. They revealed that during one of her phone conversations, she said she would shoot herself before ever going to jail. Because of that, and the severity of the crime, the judge denied her bail, keeping her behind bars in the Salt Lake County Jail. In addition to murder and obstruction of justice, she faces charges of abuse or desecration of a human body and witness tampering. Prosecutors have also raised questions about a $500,000 life insurance policy under Matthew's name, in which Jennifer was the beneficiary. The court is now determining who should receive that money. Her trial is scheduled for December 2025. For Matthew's family, the pain has been constant. They released a statement through their victim representative, saying they are hopeful that someone, maybe even Jennifer, will finally reveal where Matthew's body is located. They want to bring him home and lay him to rest. His friends in the National Guard continue to search, refusing to give up until they find him. Many of them say they can't stop thinking about him every day. He was one of their own, a man who served his country and deserved better. The prosecution believes Jennifer killed her husband because he found out about her affair, and she wanted to be free. Divorce would have meant financial loss, custody battles, and public humiliation. In her mind, murder was the easiest way out. What makes this case especially tragic is the 3 children left behind. They have lost both parents, one to death and the other to prison. As the trial approaches, people across Utah are still asking how something like this could happen. How does a mother of 3 decide that ending a man's life is worth keeping a secret? How could someone so calm, so normal, commit something so cruel? Perhaps no one will ever truly understand what went through Jennifer's mind that night. What we do know is that her actions shattered multiple families, and the damage will last for generations. Today, Jennifer remains in jail awaiting trial. She still maintains her innocence, even with the overwhelming evidence against her. Her parents also face their own legal battles for their alleged role in covering up the crime. Meanwhile, search teams continue to comb through Utah's rugged terrain. Every new lead brings hope, but also fear. Fear that Matthew's remains may never be found. For those who knew Matthew, the pain is still raw. He was a father, a soldier, and a friend. The kind of man who dedicated his life to serving others, only to lose his life at the hands of the person he trusted most.